So you've got a CCNA. Now what? What do I do? I've got that question in my comments all the time. And people get CCNAs and now they want to know kind of what's the next step. How do I get to that dream job? Someone posted they got a CCNA and they went out and made $125,000 a year and they're fully remote. I will tell you right now, the likelihood of you going CCNA, dream job, no experience is really low, right? What you're trying to do actually is use the CCNA as a stepping stone to get network infrastructure experience and then leverage that experience to go out and say, okay, now I can provide value to you, company, right? When you get the CCNA and you have a lack of experience and you're trying to get your foot in the door, right, you don't have the leverage. When you have 2 years experience and a CCNA and maybe your company paid for additional certifications for you, now you have 2-3 years of this experience, that CCNA, and something that you can bring to a company and day one, configure routers, configure switches, troubleshoot infrastructure, mess with OSPF or access control lists or port security, wireless infrastructures, phones and VLAN security, right? When you can do that, that's when you have the leverage to go out and say, okay, I should take my CCNA and this experience and switch positions and then try and leverage that to get more salary and more options and whatnot. Okay, well, how do I do this? You say, I have a CCNA and I need experience. How do I get to that point, Travis? Well, what's your underlying experience? Are you in a manufacturing facility now doing whatever in a manufacturing facility? Are you working for a school? Are you working for a big company like UPS or something like this? All of those underlying experiences, networking aside, just the experience that you have there will actually add to your ability to work for a company to do networking. Let me give you an example. You're working in a manufacturing facility and you have to replace a switch that is in that manufacturing facility on the line. You know, maybe if you work in a manufacturing facility, you know that, okay, well, I've got to get in somewhere near a piece of equipment. Guess what? I have to do lockout tagout, right? So I have to go talk to the safety team. We have to configure lockout tagout to then stop that machine so I can get in and make the change and change that piece of hardware out. And because I have the CCNA, I can configure that Cisco switch before it gets in there. So now you actually have some ability that you didn't necessarily know that you have, and you can leverage that and say, all right, well, I'm going to apply to manufacturing facilities, or I'm going to go out to job boards and whatnot and look for those specific things because that's what fits me best. Maybe you worked in a school, maybe you're doing maintenance in a school or you're doing something like this. You know what schools have? They have system administrators and they have network engineers. Go apply for those because you know school systems and you know how they work and you know the hierarchy of the jobs in that school system. So you know who to talk to and how to effectively talk about that environment plus the networking that you learned in CCNA to give you an advantage over other people. And then you're saying, well, I don't necessarily want to do that full time. That's not where I want it to be. That's fine, but that will give you that stepping stone. That will give you that experience to get you where you need to go. And then you can say, again, CCNA, some experience, and here's what I've done. And now you've got that day one, I have leverage on this company as opposed to the company kind of has leverage on me where I'm trying to get my foot in the door. What if you did tier 1 or tier 2 support or you did hardware troubleshooting, right? And fixing iPhones and computers and whatnot. Okay, well then maybe you fit better in an MSP. Maybe you go look at small managed service providers in your city or in your area and you go to them directly and you say, hey, I just got my CCNA. I've been doing hardware repair all the time. I can add this value to your company and I know the basics of configurations. And you go work for an MSP, you're like, Travis, I don't want to do handling tickets for MSPs for years and years. Okay, well, do it for a year and a half, 2 years and say, okay, now I have MSP experience. Now I have the CCNA and maybe I grew and got another certification while I was there. And you've got 2-3 years experience in the space plus the CCNA and you can go and you can actually then start negotiating for your salary. You can get a better salary. You can be more fully remote because you have the experience in that space and they can trust you to just be you and be effective already. Awesome. So if you have that, now you can go and you can start that trajectory. You can be on that path that someone said, I got a CCNA and 5 years later I was making $125K and I was fully remote. That's the path that you're looking for right after you get that CCNA. This is what you're looking for. If you have any additional questions, I didn't answer something for you, or if you want me to just answer it for your situation, leave it in the comments below. I will answer them. I have been answering these in the comments. That's why I made this video. As is always the case, engineer, break stuff, have fun. We'll see you next time. Let's go.